Assalamu alaikum. Good evening. This is Hassan Zafar with Political Zone. As we are talking, the situation is fast evolving between Israel and Iran. According to local Pakistani time, Reuters news agency reported Israel threatens to make Tehran burn after Iranian retaliatory strikes last night, which hit Tel Aviv very strongly. So it is fast turning into a battle of nerve and courage. Who can take more hits and who can hit harder? So that is the situation. And there are also reports that Iranian forces took down F-35 stealth fighters, the American made. The Iranian media and the Iranian forces are making these claims, but we do not have any solid confirmation for these claims as yet. But we'll discuss it further. We have Mr. Simon Sharaf Saab with us. He is a defense expert, a political economy expert. So let's welcome Simon Saab. Thank you very much, sir, for joining. We have been talking about these reports. We have been exchanging these reports all day. So I thought it was best we could discuss it on the show today. So what are the possibilities? That is the question, because these stealth fighters are considered to be quite advanced, kind of invincible. And these claims coming from the Iranian media and the Iranian forces of taking down these very, very advanced jets, and it can have far-reaching consequences, not only for the region and not only for the war, but for the entire American weaponry, if these planes have been hit. So what are the possibilities? What are the capabilities in the possession of Iranian forces that can possibly take down these jets?
Assalamu alaikum and good evening. Thank you for inviting me. What I have confirmed from my own sources, to sources in Iran, indeed, 2 F-35 latest generation aircrafts have been shot down by the Iranian air defense. And probably Israel thought that these aircrafts will not be challenged. But Iran has an indigenously developed air defense system, which is far better than S-300 and a notch below S-400. It's called Bavar 373. It's a Quranic connotation name. It can hit up to about 380 kilometers. It can track over 60 targets at one time and engage 6 targets at one time. And it is independent of a central control radar. What actually happens is, if these systems are deployed, then they're all interconnected. So one system which is in action engaging, the other systems also know about it. And it's a sort of a system which works on the same principle that A locks in and B fires and C tracks. And the missile fired in them has a range of about 380 kilometers. And it is a self-seeking missile, a notch below PL-15, which Pakistan used. It's independent. It has a bigger radar. It has capabilities of detecting stealth fighters, because stealth fighters are not 100% free from being seen by a radar. So it has those special capabilities. So these are the weapon systems that have shot down 2 American-made F-35s. And this system is only second to S-400. And I also want to inform you that in the Ukraine crisis, Russia has bought these systems from Iran. So it's a tested system and it's very effective, and Iran has them in abundance. I also want to tell you that in the first wave of the Israeli attack, indeed, targets were hit. There were some political reasons like the deception. Iran was negotiating with President Trump, and they had some assurance that no hits will take place. And since Iran is a signatory to the Non-Proliferation Treaty, so they understood that even if Iran strikes, they will not hit our nuclear facility. But they did. And within the clutter, the Iranians got deceived by surprise and deception to some extent, or they did not get surprised. Time is passing, we realize. But what is important is that Israel has not been able to hit any significant target, not even the nuclear facility. The facility they have hit had first generation centrifuges, which is no more there. It had shifted from there long time back. And in the existing facilities, 200 feet below ground level with 800 feet of mountains above them is beyond the capability of any kinetic bunker buster. So I feel most of the Iranian facilities are intact. Most of the casualties which were caused, their military and scientific leadership, these were not because of Israeli strikes. These were because of the Israeli agents and the fifth columnist within Iran. And there are different reasons for that. And they were eliminated through launches from within Iran. So Israel has not been able to cause any significant damage. The whole they kept trying to hit key facilities around Tehran, but the Bavar 373 system has not even allowed one weapon to enter the vicinity of where they wanted to strike. The Israelis wanted to strike. So today has belonged to Iran because they have also counter-strike. And they followed a methodology in the retaliation which must have surprised the Western Iron Dome and the defensive shield of air defense and everything. How Israeli weaponry was able to penetrate the level. Reportedly, they have even hit their military command center of the Israel army, and not once, twice, and they've hit the nuclear facility twice. So this is to say of the accuracy of the Iranian missiles, long distance missiles. So we'll discuss more as we
These
discuss.
Khyber missiles, like Samson sir, the Khyber missiles, which the Iranians are talking about, that they are going to fire those missiles. What's so special about them?
These are hypersonic missiles, and if you see missiles raining on Tel Aviv in the footage, especially at night, you'll see some slow-moving missiles, and suddenly a flash will appear from someone and strike the ground. And one photograph, one picture and video is very significant. The blast it creates, engulfs a complex of high-rise buildings, and within the lanes, within the buildings, there's ball of fires coming out and all that. These are missiles. These are hypersonic missiles, and these are long-distance hypersonic missiles. And Iranians have evolved a very indigenous way of boosting the speed in the terminal phase. They put in some small rocket engines which give it a boost up to Mach 4, and then the Israeli defense systems cannot destroy them.
So, was it overconfidence about their Iron Dome and other defense systems, or was it the undermining the Iranian capability? What caused the maximum damage? Or was it a combination of both of these things? They underestimated Iranian capability and overestimated themselves.
Yes. Like we talked yesterday, they learned lessons from India-Pakistan conflict. They learned lessons from the recent Ukrainian invasion through drones of Russia. They coupled them together and then they put their own ingenuity into place. In a way, they underestimated Iranian capabilities. The information they had was incorrect on many targets, and probably the Iranian air defense was a big surprise for them and will remain a big surprise for them.
In the beginning, you talked about crossing the red line and the way the world has responded to Israel's attacks on the Iranian nuclear sites because they are a signatory of the NPT Non-Proliferation Treaty. And when you are a signatory, you are protected by the IAEA, and their inspectors were already there in Iran. So they have crossed this red line, and Russian and Chinese diplomats in the United Nations, they have very explicitly condemned the Israeli action. So you think that Iran has received more than diplomatic support from these countries in terms of any logistic support?
Certainly more than diplomatic, as I told you. The Babar 373 is being used by the Russians against them. So this is a battle-tested weapon system, and I'm sure very soon, or even during the conflict, they may get.
But S-400 did not work very well against Pakistan Air Force. We have seen that, and the Pakistani jets destroyed at least one, and we also have reports that two of the Indian systems were destroyed by the JF-17.
S-400 was neutralized by two JF-17 Block 3 aircrafts of Pakistan Air Force. Two of them. They were not effective against Pakistani aircrafts at all. This is a lesson of the India-Pakistan conflict. But they're likely to get S-400 from Russia. They will get assistance from China. They must have already got assistance, just like Pakistan got. Because China is making heavy investments in Iran, in its PRI projects and everything. So, and then Iran and Pakistan both are in computer language, the firewalls for China and Russia. Iran is more for Russia and Pakistan is more for China. So they are not going to, it's not only diplomatically, they must have given assistance to Iran in kind, and now that assistance will be rushed up immediately. And remember, when assistance is coming, then the people who are to be trained spend months and years in the host country training on the equipment. So this entire process of induction, I'm sure, will be accelerated.
We even have the name of the Israeli pilot, Sarah, who has been captured by the Iranian forces. And if these reports are confirmed, the downing of the F-35, what does that mean to the credibility of Western weaponry, especially American weapons, and what has happened to the French Rafales that we already know of?
It is the same fate. This was F-35 is a notch above Rafale, and an Iranian indigenous missile shooting down two of them means the same what it meant to India as far as Rafale is concerned. So
because
it's not China which has set up
the geopolitical scenario altogether. If F-35s can be shot down, then there's nothing left in their arsenal.
Yes. You see, the myth that the West and America had the best technology is shattered. And it has been shattered by indigenization and a human resource which has been trained in this. First by Pakistan. Of course, Chinese assistance was there, but primarily it was the way Pakistan Air Force had organized the human resource in IT, cybernetics, cyber warfare, satellite communication, and all. The same
I,
has been played by Iran now, and I'm sure Iran has satellite linkages right now. The internet is off in Iran because it was being used by fifth columnists, and they have the line of communication, satellite communications, everything provided to them by Russia and China.
so what is beyond the Israeli expectations at the moment? Because it appears to be a battle of nerve at the moment. Who can take more? Who has the more strategic depth for taking the hit? Because that will determine the outcome of the war.
Having been a keen student of nuclear strategy with hands-on experience, Pakistan had a deterrence in situ, ambivalence they called it, since 1984. Carrying out explosions in 1998 was a formality. I believe Iranians also have a deterrence in situ, which they are not using. They want to stretch Israel to the maximum.
Hmm.
They want Israel to make the first move towards breaking the balance of terror in nuclear terms. If they do that, then as their religious leader Khamenei has said, there will be no Israel left. This was a very, very implied threat he gave yesterday in address to the Iranian nation, and the world has to take it seriously. Trump cannot bully them. Okay, stop it. You still have time. Make a deal. It's no more a deal, and they've denounced it. They said we stopped our negotiations with them. This
And
means Iranians have a lot in their kitty.
hmm. I think one question which is in everybody's mind at the moment in Pakistan, where do you see Pakistan standing in relation to what is happening between Iran and Israel? And there's
As,
also the Indian element because Iranians have been closer to India in the previous years. We have seen
as per
that.
the statement, as per the statement of Pakistan's ambassador in United Nations, and what Pakistan's Minister of Defense has said, they said overt and covert assistance to Iran. I hope they mean it.
Hmm. And the Iranian envoy to the UN particularly uh, mentioned Pakistan when they were thanking the nations who have sided with them, who have supported them in this time. So there's a geopolitical shift taking place in the region. Iranians are uh, not really close to India as they were in the past. Is that happening?
I want to say something very important related to this. Initially, it may seem out of context. Pakistan and Iran are joined on the hip. Balochistan is shared between Pakistan, Iran, and the Farah province of Afghanistan.
Hmm.
So, at the hip, there are three countries joining. The only problem is that the people in Iranian Balochistan are Sunni, and people in Pakistani Balochistan are also predominantly Sunni, but some Zikris also. That has been the only contention between Pakistan and Iran after the revolution. Iran could not get over this reality, and because of that, Pakistan could not. They have to sit together and know that they are conjoined twins joined at the hip, even Afghanistan. It is very important.
But
And our visionary leaders, they talked of RCD was made, all these things. There was a lot of progress, but after the Islamic Revolution, everything went down the drain. We have to
yeah,
go back.
and there was definitely American role in it, fanning this
That's
Shia
a long history,
question.
long history.
Has a long history, these think of these two conflicts between India and Pakistan, and the way Iran positioned itself, and think of Iran and Israel and the way Pakistan has positioned itself in relation to that. So these two conflicts have changed things. It is beyond the question of Shia and Sunni now.
Yes, I'll just explain that. China forcing Pakistan and Afghanistan joining hands. So now there are three hands there: Pakistan, Afghanistan, and China. And if Iran rides these crises against the entire technology and political power of the West and Israel, even if it rides out, Iran is victorious. And if Iran also gets into this, then Pakistan came out very strong when India attacked Pakistan. It became stronger when China forced Afghanistan and Pakistan to join hands with them. It will become even more stronger when Iran also becomes part of it. By necessity, if Pakistan doesn't join Iran and joins the Western camp, I tell you, our faith is going to be an example for everyone else.
So that should be in the minds of the policymakers in this country, that it is time to make a clear decision which side we are standing on.
Yes, proud, strong, determined, credible Pakistan, which benefits the world and the region. And it's a very
You cannot play both sides at the same time anymore.
No, you can't. It's not possible now. The options are closed by circumstances. Yet, if we try to swim against the current, we'll do it at our own peril. And remember, China, Afghanistan, Pakistan, Iran, cars, Muslim regions of China, Muslim regions of Russia combined. This is the biggest Islamic bloc, much bigger than Arabia and North Africa. Much, many times bigger.
You think Russian Orthodox or Orthodox Christians, they are also coming closer to the Islamic bloc?
The Catholics and Catholics. Catholics means Russian Orthodox, Syrian Orthodox, Greek Orthodox, Coptic Church, the Roman Catholic Church of Rome. All these are Catholics. They form about 70% of Christians in the world. They are all against Israel's policy in Gaza. All of them are against Israel's policy in Gaza. So that says it all.
That says it all, yes.
And remember, when the Crusades took place, and when the Templar Knights came to Jerusalem, trying to conquer the Islamic world, the Catholic churches of the East, the Orthodox churches, they fought alongside the Muslims against the European invaders. You know how Constantinople was lost and how Hagia Sophia, which was the biggest cathedral of the Orthodox Church, bartered away by the Catholic Church with the Ottomans. That's a tragedy. But the Orthodox churches of the East, they all stood with the Islamic world in the times of Crusade. This is history. It needs to be understood.
It needs to be understood because it has a bearing on what is happening today.
Exactly.
Yes. And let's not also forget the way Chinese are positioning themselves in relation to all this history. Uh, I would like to remind you of what Dr. Victor Gauss said very recently. When talking about Chinese China's dispute with India, the territorial dispute, he said we need to remember history, and what has historically belonged to China will go back to China, and the lines drawn by the British colonialists are no more acceptable. So does that Chinese thinking apply to the boundaries drawn in the Middle East by the British as well?
It also applies to Pakistan, by the way. And
Yes, it
Pakistan
does.
sorted it out with the Chinese in 62, 63 by signing a border agreement. And
Hmm.
in the agreement, it is written, pending resolution of Kashmir crisis under the UN resolutions
Hmm.
1948. This will remain an agreement. It will only be ratified into a treaty after Kashmir dispute is settled. Right? I
Yes.
went into the correspondence between the Indians and the Chinese after post 1947. And India has made all these commitments to China. There are documents proving that. The Chinese have them. And the Chinese dragon moves very slowly and steadily and rises. And when it rises, it is effective. So that is why whatever they did in Ladakh was reminding India that they've already made commitments with us. And you see all this population in India, in Assam, Mizos, Nagas, all these Chinese looking people, this was once part of China.
What is the link between Zionist regime in Israel and the Hindutva regime in India? Why are they coming so close to each other?
Zionists are not necessarily Jews. No. Zionists are Jews, they're also Christians, they're also Muslims. All
Okay.
Muslim countries which are supporting Israel, who allowed Israel to refuel over the airspace and fly over them and provided them air bases for emergency. They're all
Provide
Zionists.
refueling and all that. Yes, we
Yes.
discussed it yesterday.
Yeah. Uh, China, India has become part of that alliance through the Indo-Pacific Alliance. They thought they'll be the policemen of the region, they will subdue Pakistan and they will also subdue China. They
Hmm.
can't even subdue Bangladesh, who has kicked them out.
That's true.
So, uh, the dream of India as a great power, I think it has been killed by Modi completely. In as much as India's strategic thought on conflict and war is a muddle, Trump's policy is also a strategic muddle. Israel, whatever they are doing, is also strategic and a humanitarian muddle. So, what is common between them is the muddle, the fascist attitude in them. See what they're doing in Los Angeles. The governor doesn't want Marines and the reserves and all that, but they're there arresting people and everything. So, the world is no more democratic. Nation states, I think the phase of nation states is nearly over.
Hmm.
It's fascism. That is why Francis Fukuyama wrote that book, End of History. He
Yeah.
foresaw this day,
Yeah.
and we
So
are passing to end of
these
history.
two powers, one in the Middle East, namely Israel, and one in this region, namely India, they are both their ambitions are clinging on to a declining power, namely the United States. So that is what is happening.
Plus, they have created an illusion, a myth, that some of the Indian tribes are the lost tribe, and they're
Hmm.
all being recruited into the Israeli army. So they've also tried to join themselves at the hip with the Israelis.
Hmm. And we know it for sure that the Israelis were present on the Indian soil when the attacks, when India attacked Pakistan. They were in
Yes,
Kashmir and
they were
other.
there. I'm sure they were into the communication centers, command centers, everywhere. They've been there for 20. I remember they were there in 2020 also.
Yeah. Thank you very much, Samson sir, for your time, for this very enlightening talk with us. We'll
We
continue
must
it.
discuss, we must discuss since you broached the subject, Kashmir in the context of China, Pakistan, India. It's a very important subject.
Let's take it up in our next talk in the days to come, maybe tomorrow. So thank you very much once again, and thank you very much for watching.
Assalamu alaikum everybody. Khudafis.
Pakistan.
Pakistan Zindabad.